All right, another week, another episode of the Canucks Chatter podcast. I'm Rafal. That's Victor. So a lot to talk about before we do talk about anything. Help us out. Support us, follow us on every episode is out on YouTube at the Canucks Chatter or on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at the Canucks Chatter, Instagram as well. And just give us a view, comment something. We'll talk about it, like all that stuff. Um, yeah. So, well, actually, wait. I didn't show up to hockey yesterday because I'm a little bit sick, but I'm okay. We're doing a podcast, so it's easy. I can sit in my house and and not get anyone else sick. Um, how are you feeling, and how do you feel the week went for Vancouver?
Uh, just like this whole season has gone, just ups and downs, and like you never know what you're gonna get.
Hmm.
It's like a box of chocolates right now.
Hmm.
You got the good, you got the bad. Not too ugly luckily.
Yeah.
No, nothing imploded. It, no one said I didn't want to play with this guy for at all. Also, that's a good news.
Yeah. Yeah.
There wa-
Less
there
dramatic
was
this week, I guess.
no drama this week.
Yeah, but you know what? We want that drama, It gives us more content to talk about. I want more fights now.
Yeah, you know what's good content? Winning.
Yeah, that's true. Well, but, even if it's just winning, then is there enough to talk about? Um, but yeah, I mean, there was some winning,
Vancouver,
I think.
there's always drama in Vancouver.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I'll take it. You know what? It's interesting. It gets us talking. As someone who's a little more impartial, maybe I'll take it. Maybe you're on the other end
Yeah,
of that,
we'll
but
wait to the end of the show. We got a question. I remembered I got a question from a viewer.
okay. Um, So I'll give you, I guess, my take. Sort of, there's three games. Let's just kind of break it down. First off, Washington Capitals on Wednesday, a 2-1 overtime loss, but not necessarily a bad game for Vancouver. I mean, Washington. If this was like last year, Vancouver against Washington, I'd be like, ooh, that's one they should have had. But this year's Washington, like they're tied for the most points in the
Uh,
NHL, so they're a very good defensive
they're
team, and I think Vancouver kind of stayed on pace with them. What do you
yeah,
think?
they played their game and stopped the guts of the ice. That that goal scoring Russian number 8 guy was held in check, which not many
Hmm.
teams have been able to do this year or in his whole career.
Hmm.
He's been able to score against Vancouver quite a bit. I was at one game and I remember like, oh, haven't noticed him very much. 2 seconds later, he scored.
Yeah, he
Didn't say
doesn't
it
need
out loud.
much. Yeah,
Yeah,
he doesn't need
didn't
much,
say it out
right?
loud
Like
at
it's
that
just
game. I just said,
yeah,
said, thinking, and my friend sitting beside me, say, we both thought the same thing, and then there he goes. But that's why he's the greatest goal scorer that we've ever seen.
yeah, yeah. He doesn't need much. He
But the
just
Sutton guy,
needs to get that shot off. And now he's scoring
yeah,
different ways
yeah,
this year, so I'll give that to him.
yeah.
Seems,
Yeah, there was a little bit of a big situation, the little situation where Quinn got knocked around and there wasn't much pushback. Like there was enough, and I don't know how he got a penalty out of that and had to miss essentially the entire 4-minute power play, which really was unfortunate. And
mm-hmm.
Brandstrom wasn't playing, so there was no one to run the power play but the Chaos Giraffe, Tyler Myers, and go figure, no no goals on that 4-minute power play.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like we've talked about it many times. After Quinn Hughes, there's a steep drop off with what they have right now. Especially if when Brandstrom isn't playing, who was waived, as that's a kind of some recent news. He did clear, so he will be in the AHL for now and see what happens. Yeah, I thought that well, it's weird. You didn't see Ovechkin, but you saw Pierre-Luc Dubois kind of insert himself. He hasn't had as much success in the past, or I guess as much as people thought when he was drafted. But yeah, he's maybe not putting a crazy amount of points, but he's playing effective hockey for Washington. Um, Close
He said he
game. I
wears out
feel.
his welcome.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Hopefully, I don't know what's happening behind closed doors with him, but he's playing, for the most part, kind of the right way, and
Yeah.
in regards, that's mostly the Capitals. They're playing the right way. They're a heck of a team, and
Yeah.
they didn't get the win in OT, but at least they got a point. So I think you take
That's
that
not
with
surprising.
game. Yeah.
10
Oh
overtime
man.
shootout losses,
Yeah.
on pace to catch the Flyers' season record of 18.
18.
But yeah,
Well, more than half this, or
last
just the half of the season's played, so they got a
yeah,
chance.
yeah, last year there was no moral victories, but this year almost seems like you got to take moral victories with this.
Yeah.
This playing a top team, getting a point out of it, and on the road on a tough road trip. Yeah, it's not great to get a moral victory, but you take
Yeah.
what you can get this year. You never
Right.
know.
Yeah.
It's,
And yeah, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, just moving on. 2 nights later, I'm like, okay, let's play another tough team, another cup contender in Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
More moral victories.
No. What did you think about that game?
That was a boring game.
Yeah.
That was
Very
they
boring
two
game.
teams who played a game of hockey.
Yeah, pretty much.
Uh,
I
and
mean,
one
like
team won.
yeah, yeah, exactly. All three
One
games I
team won.
felt
I don't.
were not
I
very
don't know what
exciting
else you
this
could say
week.
about that game. Yeah,
All
the
three. I look
Montreal
at all
game
three
stuff
games.
happened at least.
Oh yeah, that's like the last exciting game that sort of had back and forth. The last three games have kind of been a slog, but at times you need to clog it up, and
Yeah,
that when you clog up a game, the skill level kind of evens out a little bit, and
yeah,
against these top teams, maybe that's the recipe to try to
yeah.
win.
It was good that they were able to get the guts of the ice back against both both in Washington and Carolina. They were just that's what they've been harping on for ever since Talkett's been here, and they did that against Carolina. The guts of the ice were stopped and didn't needed did 35 alarm saves from the goalie, and
Hmm.
they did what they could do, and they weren't able to muster any offense really, and just didn't get the win. And but they they're playing better. They defensively were sound despite their ragtag defensive crew, and it got it didn't look good, but again, I say it, moral victories that they don't get points, but with this the team almost you got to take them sometimes and it was good stepping stone for the next night playing in the second end of a back to back going into Toronto and one of the best games of the season. Like Toronto didn't roll over. Toronto played well because Blanken Kevin had to make some good saves, and it was all credit due to Vancouver who made Toronto less dangerous and was able to just play their game and force Toronto to the outside quite a bit.
Yeah, I think they did a good job of kind of clogging up that not neutral zone, the slot and around the net, um, and kind of all three games, and in a sense, even though despite they only got 3 points in those three games, um, yeah, I think they did a good job. I think Pedersen did a great job defensively in that Toronto game.
Difference
Um,
maker in that game.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, just kind of reiterates if you have to, move one of the guys that we always talk about, one of the two. I think you kind of know who the team should be looking to move if they have to. Um, yeah, that was a good game. Another kind of slog game, a little bit of a boring game. I was expecting. I love watching two Canadian teams play, and in the past, Vancouver Toronto has been some really back and forth games. This one less so, but yeah, the Canucks had obviously the travel issue and came off that and played a pretty good game. Um,
Yeah, maybe
Blanken
they
and
should arrive in the road city that day more often.
yeah, no kidding, right?
They
I mean, you
scored
can't
30
overthink a
seconds
game.
in. Yeah,
Yeah, I
not
will
often they
say,
get the first goal too. So it was like great.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the when you get the first goal, like that helps, right? Helps kind of gain that confidence and momentum, especially when you're on a back to back. You want to have that good jump early because maybe towards the end the legs aren't going to be there. So I thought they did a good job there. I thought Toronto, like I mean, this. I watch other Canadian teams as well. I watch decent amount of Edmonton games, Toronto games. I get out of.
Boo.
I'm more impartial. I like Canadian teams. All right. Um, uh, they, yeah, the Toronto fans are not happy with kind of their play the last little bit. I watching them earlier in the year and watching that game, they had played a very uninspiring game. to just not.
Gotta give
Even though,
credit to Vancouver. They
oh,
forced
for
them
sure,
into that too.
yeah, a little bit of that too, for sure. That plays in effect, but I don't think Toronto. They didn't get the best of Toronto. That same with like.
They still had their grade A chances. There were a few. Kevin
Yeah.
had to make quite a few
Oh, I
good
think
saves.
Lankinen made some great saves. Yeah, I mean Toronto's got like top end skill, right? So I think they're
Yeah.
going to get their looks. And maybe if the goaltending isn't as solid as Lankinen, maybe it's a different story, right?
Yeah, because that third period was low event hockey. Nothing happened. Kevin had to make a couple saves, but that was about it. And just they shut the door, and that was good. I think that's how they played a nice prototypical road game.
Yeah.
That hasn't been enough of. They held the lead. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
They didn't whittle it away. There was no 3 goals in 4 minutes. No floodgates happened. They just kept it in, kept control, passed it around, dumped it in, took some shots, and kept. And then a couple mistakes here and there, but Kevin made the save. So I came away with like, yeah, Toronto maybe didn't play their greatest, but they didn't play poorly. They won.
Yeah.
They showed up, and Vancouver forced them into not knowing what to do.
Yeah. I think the Canucks just outworked them in that game. I think that was the biggest difference. And just kind of played, like you said, like sound defensively. They didn't give up too much, and when they did, Lankinen was there. I guess if you zoom out from the week, it's like 3 points in 3 games. Is that enough? Is that okay considering the opponents, or do you think they need to start piling on more points here?
They need to get more wins. One last thing with the Toronto one. The best player on both teams was the best player on both teams, Quinn Hughes. The East got to see all what we've been raving about him, and he dominated that game. He was the best. He showed why he's a top 5 player in this league.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 points. Not ideal for coming out of it. They got 4 points on this road trip so far, so it's not that bad.
In 5 games? Yeah. I mean, this is the big thing. Like, I was going to get into this. Is like, right now, Calgary is up 5-2 against the Chicago Blackhawks, and they have 1 period left. Assuming Calgary's going to pull that off, so that puts Vancouver 9th place. They're out of a playoff spot now with the same number of games played. I think there's some kind of level of concern here because over the next month and a half, you're pretty much going to know whether the Canucks are going to be a playoff team or not. And it's not an easy schedule. It's not, their easy schedule happened earlier in the season.
Yeah.
And now you got. It's
going to be a lot harder.
Yeah. So now you're really going to find out if this team can string together some wins and make the playoffs because they have to.
Yeah. At least now unlike the beginning of the year, they still haven't settled on a number 1, but complete opposite from the beginning of the year where they were trying to give Shelov's all as big a runway as possible. It's now where they don't have a number 1 because they have 2 goalies who are capable of taking the game over. Kevin's playing well, and Hronek is going to be back now. That as of today, he joined the team in Winnipeg, and all signs point to him playing tomorrow, and which is going to be a huge burden. Yeah, he's playing on the same line as Quinn, but unless they want to keep the Myers-Hughes tandem together and Hronek picks up a second player playing with Susie or Forbort, gives the Forbort some Bort license plates and won't be sold out. And maybe Susie will find his game beside Hronek if they do play together.
Yeah,
will be at least then you'll have a better solid second pairing again.
Yeah. I mean, that's they desperately need Hronek back if they want to try to win some games. The back end's just not built enough to kind of have an absence like that. There's one thing I did want to bring up that actually you said earlier, the Washington game where Quinn Hughes was kind of hit around a little bit and sort of the lack of response. That kind of worries me about this team, to be honest. Especially come playoff time. Like it's if they make the playoffs, obviously. It's like they don't obviously there's Kiefer Sherwood who's bouncing off of everybody. It's just there needs to be like people are going to target, Quinn Hughes and we sort of kind of saw it last playoffs, right? Like it's more physical and he was less effective. But what you need is not him to turn into this, tough guy all of a sudden. It's to have the guys around him really protect him more. And I think that's going to be really important. And I think that they're a little bit lacking that.
Yeah, this team will fight. They have a lot of fighting majors, and can't always have like if Connor Garland and Niels Höglander are out there, they're not gonna. What are they gonna do?
No, they're just not big
They're
enough.
yeah.
That's what I'm
Sometimes
saying.
you
I don't
just
think they have the
don't have the
personnel.
right personnel.
Yeah, they don't,
Like
and I think
if
they need that.
if Desharnais is out there, yeah, he's gonna drop the gloves with them. It's just situation.
Yeah.
If your skill guys are out there, and if DeBrusk isn't out there or Miller's out there, that's going to be a little bit different. If it's who you have out there. Is Pius Suter or Teddy Bluger going to drop the gloves? If they're out there with Quinn, what are they going to do? That's not their game. So
It doesn't always have to be dropping the gloves, though.
Yeah, like Bluger has stepped up in back on when they played Florida in Florida. I can't remember who got run, and he came in flying in to get into a fight with another Panthers player, a fellow Latvian, and I think at that instance it was good for him to show up. Yeah, I think he also picked a fight with a friend of his, so it wasn't like he didn't go after Tom Wilson or anything. But
yeah, I don't think anyone wants to go after Tom Wilson.
Yeah, when Tom Wilson got into that scuffle with Connor Garland, and there wasn't anyone out there.
Yeah.
So, like, Myers will take anyone on, but he's not known for his fisticuffs either.
Yeah, it's not always like if sometimes you have to fight, you have to fight, but at times it's just kind of getting in someone's face and doing something. Because I've been
in situations like that where I have to help defend a teammate. Well, I'm not winning any fights.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the biggest guy. Like I can step up there, but what am I going to do? I'm a Chihuahua going up against a Rottweiler, and sometimes that's what's out there. Like Niels Höglander's, I wouldn't mess with Niels Höglander in real life, but on the ice, he's a Chihuahua going up against a pit bull. If he has to
some of the guys are huge.
A bigger guy. There's nothing you can do. It just happens to be whom is out there.
Yeah. I still wonder though if they because you look at some of the teams that do, let's say, win Florida, like even their top guys have some bite to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and some you need a little bit. Yeah, I know, but like that's JT Miller
can't find the Brady Kachucks or Matthew Kachucks out there.
Yeah. Well, even then, like maybe they lost some of those players, but Florida had a lot of them. You had Ryan Lomberg, Nick Cousins. You had on the back end, like Montour's not afraid to get in someone's face. He would cross-check someone for no reason. Like
they have
a lot of guys.
Drop the gloves. Susie will drop. Desharnais. They have those slow defensemen will protect you.
Mm-hmm.
The forwards aren't the biggest guys. And not having Dakota Joshua come in, but again, some of their forwards are smaller. Brock isn't going to put up isn't going to hit you or anything like that. Canucks bottom six will come protect you. It's just a lot of times when some stuff happens to Quinn, it's the little guys who are coming in that are going to have to try to do it. And
I just don't think they have I don't think they have enough though. Yeah, I just don't think they have enough.
That's right. Those slow 5 defensemen they have out there. That's what they've been doing. Yeah,
that's true. But you need them to. So some of the slow defensemen haven't been playing well, right?
So you need a little bit. Don't have what they do.
I never said they don't. I never said they don't. I just said I don't think it's enough, right? Because right now
they have those 5 defensemen. Dakota Joshua will do. That's but JT Miller. That's 8 guys. That's 9 guys right there.
Yeah. Well, maybe they just need to assert themselves a little more sometimes.
They're like I said, they weren't on the ice. If they're not on the ice, you can't do anything. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't pull a Todd Bertuzzi and jump off.
No, of course not. But that I don't know. So, that is a worry though.
Pius Suter's on with Petey. They're not. I don't want those guys going in and getting beat up by a Ryan Lomberg. That's just an unfair fight.
Well, you don't have to. Like I said, you don't have to. You don't always have to
And
drop the
guess what?
gloves, though.
They were there though. They
Mm.
did push back,
They
and
they
when
they
he
do
got
at
hit,
times, but yeah.
everyone jumped in.
Mhm. Well, I
And
mean, we'll see.
Brandstrom got into that fight with Lomberg again,
Mhm.
and Forbort right after, as soon as Lombard got out, like, hey, pick on someone your own size, come after me now, and
Yeah. They
that's
won't
what they
though.
did.
Some of those players they go after smaller guys.
Exactly. You can't say they don't push back. They do.
I
They
never said
have
they
the
don't push
guys.
back.
They will.
I said
Yeah.
that,
They,
you know,
he said they don't have enough guys. They have
yeah.
enough guys, and
Well,
they do push back.
yeah, at times, but I mean, like you said, there wasn't anybody on the ice for that. Yeah, I guess that's true. But
Yeah.
regardless, if Quinn Hughes is getting run into like that, you at least need to go in and push someone off or over their face and not kind of look at what's
They
going
can.
on and skate. So,
Oh, they came in. Unfortunately, the refs decided to take Quinn
mhm.
instead of somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, also when you have Tom
Just
Wilson, that's like
yeah,
who can
yeah,
realistically go up against him? Like Rempe,
yeah.
Reeves. That's about like who else? That he's huge.
Who are two awful hockey players.
Yeah.
Well,
Wilson is like the one player
Reeves is
that
awful now.
yeah. He's a guy who plays like 6 minutes a night. Wilson's a guy who
That's
plays like
4 minutes too much.
18. Wilson plays like 18 minutes or something, right?
Yeah, Wilson's
17,
actually a
18.
player.
Yeah, he's
Rem,
actually a player.
I think Rempe has more penalty minutes than minutes played in the NHL,
Oh, there's no doubt. He plays like 5 minutes a night, if anything. Like it's a couple shifts.
and then gets kicked out.
Yeah, exactly. He does. He goes overboard way too often. Um,
Congratulations on him getting an assist the other night, though.
oh, is that his first point? Or he had one before. He's had one.
Can't be too many, but he did get
No.
an assist, his first of the season.
Wow. We'll see how long he can stick around if he can, because ultimately he's gonna have to find other parts of his game that'll help the team.
Players like him are a relic now. No,
Yeah.
if I see Rempe on the ice, I want to be on the ice too. I want to I want to force him to be a player.
Hmm.
'Cause
Yeah.
that's what Gretzky used to say when he would see a goon on the ice. He'd like, "Oh, put me on the ice now." That's what
Yeah, because
if
you can
I'm a
skate
skill
around
guy.
him.
Yeah, I want to play against guys like that.
Hmm. As long as they don't do something cheap, right? Means you never know.
Which
You have to be aware for sure as a
yeah,
player, skill player. You have to be aware who's on the ice, right?
he, oh, he'd have to catch you. That's the thing. Players like that, can they catch you? If they can't catch you, you're just a liability.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
players like can do that where they can make you a liability. Like the East, the Eastern feed was you could see all over Twitter people going, "This is Quinn, man. This Quinn Hughes guy is good." Where everyone out west is like, "Yeah, this is what we see every night."
Well, I think that the real hockey fans know that he's one of the best defensemen in the NHL. Maybe like a casual fan.
They
Yeah.
know of Quinn Hughes. They don't actually see how good he actually is. Because yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough to stay
Well,
up
I
till
mean,
1 o'clock. 1
yeah,
o'clock.
exactly. Who's no? If it was flipped on
Yeah,
this side, you wouldn't be watching a team at 1 o'clock. You just unless you have a crazy evening job where you watch games at night. But which I think is really awesome here for the West Coast. The fact that we have the privilege of basically watching any game in the NHL because of the times.
yeah.
4 o'clock
It's the same
games,
thing with
7 o'clock games.
yeah.
It's nice.
It's the same thing with the NFL. Like someone came, yeah, a friend of mine lives out east, came out west. Like you wake up and you watch football, and then you watch football throughout the day. You don't
Mm,
miss anything. Whereas the
yeah,
east, you you're anticipating you get all your stuff done, and then you have to. Whereas in the west, you're like, all right, 10 a.m. I watch football straight through till 8 p.m. And same thing here.
yeah,
You do 4 o'clock. You can if you like the Eastern teams, you can watch them, and then all right, the West Coast is in.
yeah. No, I'm happy about that. That's awesome. I can catch like Eastern teams play and then the Western in the evening. It's good. I'm glad. I can't imagine living on the East side and sort of getting stuck and being like, oh, it's
I
late. Can't watch this game. I gotta go
I
to
did
bed.
that once. I was out east, and I'm like, all right, I can't wait to watch this game. I show up at 4 o'clock. I'm like, oh man, I'm like hours early. I stopped my plans. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, it's a different. I remember when we were doing the Canucks in the playoffs. against it was the second round series against Edmonton. I was in Ontario visiting family, and it was like we had to do the post game shows. And I'm like, oh, it's really late. I gotta log on in the middle of the night and then watch this game and then do the post game show. Different feel, but yeah, happy to be on the West Coast. So yeah, it looks like Calgary is going to win this game. Canucks are out of a playoff spot.
Ooh.
How it's basically, if you look at the standings, like it's anything can happen, right? There's
It's a
37
dog
games.
fight. That
Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a big
can
next
can
month and a
Calgary keep
half.
it up? Vancouver, of all the teams that are in that playoff bubble, Vancouver is on paper the best team. Even if Calgary still has lots of question marks. Can their goaltending keep it up? Are they going to get enough scoring? St. Louis has already played multiple games and are already points behind Vancouver
Yeah, St. Louis is a
for the
little out.
playoffs. Are.
So.
Yeah. St. Louis is a decent team. They have some weapons. And
Mm-hmm.
they still have some core guys from those Stanley Cup runs. And they have the Team Canada starting goalie. So there's some weapons in there. Calgary's relying on a rookie goalie he's looked really good, but he's still a rookie goalie and got to get used to
Yeah.
all this, and they don't score goals.
Yeah, what is their goals for? 110 goals for. Yeah. Wow, that's really low.
They're a one-line team, and they team hoping that they get secondary scoring. So there's
you want to look at either
but they
team.
are supposed to be rebuilding, so I don't know.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be fighting for a playoff spot, though they are. I mean, they've played well. Like they have more wins.
Yeah,
They're going to have two more wins than in regulation.
They're a good surprise so far. Are they? Yeah. Because they were supposed to be selling at the deadline. Now are they going to buy and mess around with their timeline?
Yeah, I don't know. It really depends on what's going to happen over the next month, really. Like that's going to tell a lot, even for Vancouver, right? Like what's going to happen if the next month, if they spot out of control, do you really want to buy? What's the point?
No, don't buy. And like, is Nashville going to go on a 16-game winning streak?
No.
That's what they need.
Even if they won 16 games, 8 points, they're still not in a playoff spot. Like 16 win at 32. That's 60. Yeah, but like even that's like you're barely. I mean, I almost like want to write them off at this point. It's just looking pretty bad.
Because look at Edmonton last year to win. They won 16 in a row, and that got them to like 10 points back at Vancouver.
Yeah, but that happened earlier, right? Before the halfway point of the season, did it not?
It was around the midway point.
Not in the midway point.
Yeah.
I guess it's possible.
Yeah, or they need to go on a St. Louis like run from a few years ago where they just came.
Honestly, if that was a Canadian team, that would be like the story of the ages. Because like I know it was a crazy story at the time, but it's like how insane that is that they were the last place team and then to not only make the playoffs but win the cup that year. That is crazy.
I went to a game just before Christmas. St. Louis lost to a bad Vancouver team, and and then we're like, man, how bad is this team that they're losing to Vancouver?
Yeah.
And then they came up when they made the run. Like, how is that the same team that I watched get pummeled by Vancouver? Like that game wasn't even close.
It's crazy how that like I don't know if you can ever replicate that ever again.
Also, I want to shout out the mom and daughter who were St. Louis fans sitting beside us that game.
Well, you know what? They might have been not that game they weren't happy, but a couple months later they definitely were.
Oh, they were happy. The mom was happy. She had a few happy drinks.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Yeah, a couple of drinks will do that to you. So you said there was a question, right? Or a listener's question. Why don't you relay it to us?
Yes, from Nick Paolo. Thank you for your question. He's like, "What is there a goalie controversy again brewing in Vancouver? The way Kevin's playing, and Demko hasn't played poorly, but he hasn't been super Demko yet, and his numbers don't back up how he's played. But now is there a question of who's number one? Will there be a goalie controversy?"
Okay, I can take that first. Yeah, I mean, in a good way though. Like, I don't think there's a straight up number one guy. Like Lankinen has had more leeway. He's played way more games, and Demko hasn't, played as many games coming off an injury. But Yeah, there's no one set guy where like game one he's starting. It's like, well, we still have what 39 games left in the season. Got to see how that plays out before you're committed to if you make the playoffs who the game one starter is. But not
And
necessarily a
Demko,
bad problem to have.
and Demko's going to get a little rest during the Four Nations, where
Mhm.
Kevin's going to be. He might not play, but at least he'll be at the tournament.
Right.
Now, the old saying is, if you have two number ones, you don't have a number one. Usually, it's true, but at this point with Vancouver, I think that they do have two number ones. At least Kevin's played like he's a
Yeah.
legit number one. Demko's proven he's a legit number one. So I think that they do have two number one goalies, and goaltending has not been an issue when Kevin or Demko's been in net. When Shilovs was out, yeah, we knew he was struggling, but
Yeah.
right now, I think goaltending will not be an issue for the foreseeable future. I don't, and it's too early to re-sign Kevin to a long-term contract.
Yeah. It depends what the cap it is, but yeah, it's too. Because Demko's like his stats aren't good for the 8 games he's played. So I think that's
But
why
the
you're kind of
yeah, but
wondering.
the eye test has shown different with Demko, where he's played
Hmm.
well.
Yeah, he hasn't played bad. I don't think there's maybe one game where you look at and you're like, trying to remember which game that was, where I kind of was like,
Ottawa, maybe.
could have been the Ottawa game, yeah, where he just didn't look. There's a couple goals you definitely wanted back. But his ability to stay
Didn't help that
healthy,
JT Miller did not back check in that game.
yeah. Before we end it, since this podcast is, I mean, this episode's going on. What did you think of JT Miller's play the last couple of games?
Still inconsistent. He was good offensively, getting those points, but he his hasn't been the same JT Miller of driving play and being a noticeable difference. He got his points and he did his thing, but it hasn't been where he's making other players around him dominant.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, he's gotten the Pedersen treatment more this year, where hasn't played with as strong wingers. Here's where as Petey's been playing with DeBrusk and Besser, and Garland and Hoglander have taken turns with him, and Karamaki. Shout out to good old JL there for continuing his growth as he scored his second NHL goal. So yeah, last year Miller got all the great starts, made his wingers better, got Besser 40 goals, and he hasn't done that this year. And his defensive metrics have just been ugh. They
yeah,
haven't passed the metrics. His eye test hasn't been. At least getting points again, that's a step in the right direction. I
yeah.
will take that.
I wonder too if also this next stretch of the next month or so for Vancouver um, kind of tells you, if things are not looking good, doesn't look like they're gonna make the playoffs. Do you pull the trade for one of those guys that they're thinking of getting rid of?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, to get a better return possibly.
If you can get something, you can. Like
Yeah.
PD right now is starting to look good. Last couple games that he's been back, he's been noticeable. It's been really good.
Hmm.
The Toronto game, he was the second best player on the ice after Quinn, and he saved a couple goals. He was driving play. He helped contribute to goals. So I don't know if you can get rid of him. Like Bruce Boudreau came out in an interview today and said, where when he was coaching them, he would go to JT Miller and give him a motivation, saying, "Hey, he put a chip on his shoulder. He's got to do this," and he thrives on chaos. Where Petey would lack confidence. He's like, "Hey, you got this. You're a great player," and it just shows the polar opposite. One's laid back.
Yeah.
One's a go go go, and it's a different type of player. They both work. There's nothing wrong with how they go at it. Oh, and you can't say Petey's soft, and you can't say Miller only thrives on chaos. They're both grown men,
Mm.
and it's team first. You play for the team logo on the front, not the name on the back.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's the problem is they can't get both guys going at the same time. It's either one or the other, and that probably has something to do with maybe the relationship and what's kind of been going on. Yeah, we'll see how that plays itself out.
I'm reading a book right now where these two it's a star it's a fiction book where there's two star players who do not get along, and they didn't win the championship, and their coach forced them to go take ballet lessons,
Hmm.
and they ended up being friends for a while until something else happened, and so maybe they need to go take ballet lessons together and
Yeah.
be in a room together with a ballerina.
Yeah. I just feel like at this point, if there was a way to get them to coexist and be on the same page, it would have happened. You know, it's
Yeah,
just,
put them
I don't
back.
know.
Go back old school when they go on road trips. Make them become roommates
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
every guy now who gets his own room. Make them become roommates. Force them to sit beside each other on the plane. I
Well,
don't know.
they must at this point try anything before you make a move. But I think like from reports, the management's kind of like, okay, this is not working. But give it some time. You know, give it a little more time. Also, you got to figure out with what they have, how are the next few weeks going to go. Right. That's this. I think this next stretch here is going to be really important to kind of it's going to force your hand to make a decision one way or the other. And
Yeah,
yeah.
gotta see what happens after the Four Nations. See where they are from there.
Yeah. When does that start again? Is it February?
I think so.
Yeah,
Can't
right.
remember the exact dates.
Thought it was February, but I'm seeing a lot of. How long does it last? Like 2 weeks?
2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, right. Just looking at the schedule. When is there a break for 2 weeks? I don't know. I should have the
Yeah,
answer.
because
I don't have
I
it.
saw the later in the schedule. It was really condensed. So.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, we'll see how it is. Yeah, that's. I got nothing else to speak on
Yeah.
unless you do.
Oh,
No.
thanks everyone for listening and watching. Our popularity is growing. Thank you very much. Shout
Yeah.
out to all of you guys. Much love.
Much love. Again, follow us, like, comment on our videos, like,
Yeah. He,
leave us any
he's at
questions you have.
he's at Raf_Douglas. I'm at Some Deviant.
Yep. Follow us there. YouTube, X, Twitter, and
Canucks Chatter
yeah,
is the pod
Canucks
names.
Chatter. Yeah, on YouTube, every episode on YouTube. Usually we upload it every Tuesday, if you don't know. And then come playoffs, and hopefully the Canucks make the playoffs. So this is the thing that we'll do a post-game show after every playoff game. But yeah,
Except for the one I'll be at.
yeah, okay, except for that one. All right, thanks for tuning in. See you next week.